Today I fucked up by misinterpreting the phrase, Netflix and chill. So this happened 6-ish years ago, when I was a freshman in college. One night, some friends and I went on a double date. I took a guy the first just met off Tinder as my date. We went out to eat and bowl afterwards, and the night was going well. On our way back to the car, he offers to take me back to his place to Netflix and chill, and you guessed it, I didn't know what that actually meant. I said sure, let's do it. We're still walking with my friends and I tell them to go on without me, that I'm going with my date back to his place to Netflix and chill. They looked concerned, and they're like, are you sure? You just met this guy. And I'm like, yay, we're just going to Netflix and chill, no worries. Probably weirded out. But knowing I've done risky things before and trust that I'm fully aware of my actions, they let it go, and told me to just text them once I got home. So with that I was off with this guy to his apartment. When we got there I was a little sketched out, and by that I mean the apartment looked kind of sketchy. I shrugged it off as we walked up the stairs of his apartment, silently hoping it looked better on the inside than it did on the outside. Well everyone, there wasn't much to look at on the inside, because there was no furniture save for a couch in the living room and a mattress in one of the rooms. So there I am, standing at the doorway of this desolate room, and instead of being worried about the possibility of being murdered, I asked my date where the TV was. TV? He asks. And I'm like, yay, to watch Netflix. Why else did you bring me here? And he laughed, and luckily for me it wasn't the murderous kind, but the bless your heart kind of laugh. He then promptly explained to me what he actually meant by Netflix and chill. I was so embarrassed, that to make up for my confusion, I gave up my virginity that night. Edited. I came across this meme today and it reminded me of that night. Too long did not read. College freshman me didn't know what Netflix and chill meant and lost her virginity because of it. To be fair, Netflix and chill usually does actually start with Netflix. You were so embarrassed that it caused you to lose your virginity? Netflix and chill is actually supposed to start with Netflix. This dude is fully at fault here. I mean, was the dude attractive to you or did you literally just have sex because it'd be awkward to leave? Shocked face. Wait, what? You still hooked up with this rondo that only had a couch and bed? Part of Netflix and chill still means having Netflix. No, today I fucked up here. Just a TIFU grin. Today I fucked up by shaving my ass before a colonoscopy. So a couple days ago there was an AskReddit asking anesthesiologists what was the weirdest thing they heard a patient say before going under. One of the top upvoted comments said a young female patient had sat up and said, "I shaved my asshole for you," before laying back down and going under. I am 99% sure this was me. Let me explain. I've been having daily constipation for almost a year now and would occasionally see blood in my stool, even after I started taking a stool softener to control the constipation. I've also been getting very painful cramps, often accompanied with diarrhea, about once a month for the last 4 years, so I went to see a GI to hopefully get an answer. Before anyone asks, I'm trans, so even though it seems like period cramps, it's probably not. Anyways, after having to convince the GI, who assured me it was probably just IBS, to at least order a colonoscopy to rule out anything serious, I ended up having the operation back in February. But you're not here for my unexplained medical problems. As I mentioned before, I'm trans, so I'm very hairy down there thanks to all the testosterone I used to have in my body. I usually like to keep everything trimmed because I'm very conscious about my ass seeming gross, especially if someone is going to be digging around back there. So the day before I started prep, I used my body hair trimmer so my asshole wouldn't look like an overgrown jungle and that it wouldn't get super disgusting from having to completely empty out my bowels for the next 2 days. After having to endure the misery that was prep and having to drink a massive amount of what tasted like sour milk, the lemon flavoring was a mistake. I went in to have my colonoscopy. I'd only been under once before and that was a long time ago, so I was a little bit nervous about what I might say or do. My ADHD brain says the weirdest shit even when I'm sober. I barely have a filter, so you can imagine I was extra worried. Well, when I got to the operating room and started to be put under, I started thinking about all the prep I had to do and the fact that someone was about to shove a camera up my asshole when a random thought came to my head. I shaved my asshole for you. At first I couldn't tell if it was something I had said out loud, but no one seemed to react, so I assumed it was just an internal thought. Apparently it was not. When I saw that AskReddit comment, I froze because I immediately recognized those words. And if you're wondering, the colonoscopy went well and they didn't find anything except for a non-cancerous polyp. Oh well, I continue to suffer with no answers to my issues. I also apparently have a high metabolism, and woke up in the middle of the procedure, so that was fun. I'll have to tell the anesthesiologist about that next time, and maybe I ought to warn them that I tend to say some weird stuff before going under. Too long did not read. I trimmed my asshole before a colonoscopy because I'm very hairy down there, and apparently I ended up saying to the anesthesiologist just before going under that, "I shaved my asshole for you." Honestly, that was probably the highlight of that anesthesiologist's day. Oh man, that's hilarious. Don't worry about it, it was probably one of the more PC things said on anesthesia. Sulks and mumbles. No one shaves their ass for me. Well, now I want to know if it was you the person from AskReddit was talking about. Send a message to the person who posted the comment. Ask them what city it was in or some other specific detail, if they're comfortable telling you. I need to know. We all need to know. Don't worry, I told them they could have at least taken me to dinner first. Luckily my GI was a cool guy and we all laughed it off. Cold sweat smile. Man, those people hear all sorts of stuff. That probably wasn't even the most interesting that week. Had my first colonoscopy last week. Go do it people, if you're in the age for testing, 45 in the US. It's not bad at all. They knock you out with some great drugs. The prep before is by far the worst part. The actual procedure is nothing. Do it. My friend is alive thanks to his first colonoscopy. Today I fucked up by eating a brat. So this happened about 5 minutes ago. I was hungry and thought the sun is shining. Birds are chirping. Why not fire up the grill and cook a couple brats? I cranked the gas up, tossed a couple cheese-infused bad boys on the grate, and all was going good. While O sat back and enjoyed a refreshment, they cooked up nicely with a crisp skin and a bit of the jalapeno cheese oozing out. They smelled great and I was excited to dig in, but having ruined a many shirts with wiener squirts in the past I thought best to let them cool. I proceeded to sit down at my desk, figured 5 minutes or so should be good, so I chomped in. The cheese was still molten. The first bite broke the casing and squirted molten jalapeno cheese straight up my nose. I shouted out in pain, the kids came running, and the cat looked over angry that I woke him from an afternoon slumber. As my senses came back and the tears filling my eyes cleared up, I made it to the washroom to grab a cold compress. I am now sitting here trying to apply a cold rag to the burns in my nasal cavity and have a video meeting starting in 10 minutes. I'll be red-nosed and sniffling the entire time. TLDR, I burnt the inside of my nose with molten jalapeno cheese. Where I'm from, a brat is an annoying child. It put a whole new spin on this for me. Having ruined a many shirts with wiener squirts in the past. I read this and instantly reverted back to 12 years old. I'm sorry but this is the first time I am hearing grill bars being called a great, and between snorting with laughter at the rest of the story my mind keeps rewinding back to that. Oh, and the idea of apparently cooking children. Brats are spoiled kids where I am from tears of joy. TIFU, by misreading the title. And thinking you meant you ate asshole kids. I think I had stroke reading this. I think you got burned? Today I fucked up by calling bratwursts brats and making people think I'm a cannibal.